I must be the last person on YouTube to finally come out for a review and swatches of Lisa Eldridge's new releases. So I've taken my time reviewing them. Because I've almost used these products at least over 3 weeks, I've actually got a very solid understanding of how they perform and how they compare against some of my other collections that I own. So I'm going to talk through some of those details. I've got 2 highlighters, 2 blushes, 3 lipsticks, and a gloss. So let's get started with the highlighters. Right, let me apply Cosmic Rose, and then we're going to wait for 3 minutes to see if there's going to be any lifting or anything that's visible. I'm gonna apply it right here and here. Just going to smooth this out. And here I've got nothing on. So I'm gonna wait for 3 minutes and then we'll take a look. So it's been exactly 4 minutes, and can you guys tell a difference? So right here, according to Lisa Eldridge's website, these highlighters are supposed to give you a subtle lifting, tightening, and smoothing effect. So what do I see? What do I see? Do you see anything? So here's my skin with the highlighter. And here's just my normal skin without anything. Just for comparison, I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. This is shade 4. It's kind of the closest match that I have to Cosmic Rose. It's not a rosy shade, but it's a light shade like Cosmic Rose. And I'm going to use that on this side. Here's the Charlotte Tilbury. And here's the Lisa Eldridge. So what do I think? Honestly, I don't see the lifting, the tightening, the smoothing. I don't see it. Now, it does say on the website a subtle tightening, lifting, smoothing effect. So if it is subtle, I definitely can't see it. If you can see it, if you've got these products and you notice it, please let us know in the comment section below. Now, I think the highlighters are beautiful. What you do need to know is that they do have shimmer. So these are not shimmer-free highlighters. They have lots of little fine shimmer, and there is quite a lot. However, when you apply them to the cheek, as long as you don't apply too much, you won't notice a lot of shimmer. So I do enjoy the highlighters. They also have this emollient formula. They almost feel oil-based. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like very emollient products, these highlighters may not be for you. Although they set, they do still leave the skin looking pretty dewy. My fine hair does stick to the highlighters, but just know that you can actually set these with some powder. So let's say you apply that underneath your foundation on top, and then just go over it lightly with some powder, and that will just prevent some of that sticking. The best way to apply these, I found, is really underneath foundation. I don't really like them on top of the makeup. I find that they tend to lift my blush or my bronzer underneath, and so I really don't enjoy that, but I love them under foundation. Under foundation, these are beautiful. And to be honest, even my Charlotte Tilbury, I love them underneath foundation. I don't particularly like them on top of foundation or on top of blushes, because these do a very similar thing. They also tend to lift the products underneath, especially if they're cream blushes. I've actually been wearing these highlighters continuously for the last 3 weeks, and what I can tell you is that unfortunately, they are breaking me out. It took me a while to realize it was the highlighter and not anything else. I mean, I haven't been using any new foundations. I haven't used any new skincare products. My diet has more or less remained the same in the last month. And I kept noticing these breakouts and almost like skin irritation as well. Like I would get these weird bumps on my cheek, breakouts that left some pigmentation. And when I stopped using these, my breakouts and irritation went away. When I started using these, it came back pretty quickly. So if you're acne prone, I highly recommend check out that ingredient list, see if there's anything in there that you know will break you out, or at least check some other reviews for people that are also acne prone. Now, obviously, just because I've broken out with these doesn't mean that you will. It's really a shame. I think out of this entire collection, I really love the highlighters the most, and I can't really use them. Now, how do they compare to Charlotte Tilbury? I think that's a very good question, because my standout liquid highlighter is the Charlotte Tilbury. What I can tell you is the Charlotte Tilbury isn't really as dewy or as emollient as the Lisa Eldridge. Also, Charlotte Tilbury has more pigment. These are a little bit more sheer. Also, these ones just have a sheen. So the CT formula has this beautiful, almost like this metallic sheen. There are absolutely no shimmers in this formula, whereas the Lisa Eldridge does have shimmer. It has lots of very fine shimmer, but the shimmer is prevalent. You can see it. And I'm gonna just put up some footage that I took with my phone just under different lighting. I compared Solar Tan from Lisa Eldridge to Charlotte Tilbury shade 5, and you can see how the Charlotte Tilbury shade just gives that really beautiful sheen, whereas the Lisa Eldridge is a little bit more highlighted, provides more glow, and certainly has a lot more sparkle and more shimmer. I also don't find that my hair sticks to the Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like it, although it's a dewy formula, it does tend to set, and then my hair doesn't really stick to it. So I really like that about the Charlotte Tilbury. Taking my reaction and my breakout aside, because again, not everyone's gonna break out from the Lisa Eldridge. If I had to pick between these two formulas, to be honest, my favorite is still Charlotte Tilbury. I just love this very sophisticated sheen that this formula has. In terms of that tightening, smoothing, lifting effect that these are supposed to have, I didn't see it. I've been trying them for over 3 weeks and I haven't seen it. And I tried to film it on camera to show you guys to see, did you see it? Let me know if you did. I think it is supposed to be subtle, so it's probably there, but it's just not really that visible. Now let's talk about the blushes. This is going to be really interesting. I only picked up 2 shades, and I got Dante's Dream and Island Glow. Now, I'm not wearing the blushes on my cheek at the moment. I did film swatches of this separately. So I'm taking Dante's Dream, and I'm just going to pop that onto the cheek. So this is what the color Dante's Dream looks like on me. And that's a very sheer wash of Dante's Dream. I'm going to build that up, of course, and just going to pat that in. Dante's Dream. I'm going to apply Island Glow on this side. And that's the color for Island Glow. I love Island Glow. Like, this color is so beautiful. You can see that Dante's Dream a lot more muted, a lot more brown, less bright than Island Glow. And this is the shade Island Glow. And Dante's Dream. So now these blushes aren't your traditional cream blush. The formula is actually very different. When you first receive your blush, the oil in this formula tends to kind of swim up and you have this layer of oil that's sitting on top. Now if you were to squeeze some product out and then use it, you will get a very oily application that does not feel nice. Anytime you use them, I do recommend you just give them a good shake. That will help mix that pigment with that oil, so you're just not getting this super oily look to the cheek. In terms of packaging, I think the packaging is okay. I'm not a big fan of these very clinical looking tubes. I do like that there is a bit of a color indicator right here so you know what color you're using. I think that's great, but the packaging is definitely functional, and that way you can get really precise delivery because you can take just the smallest amount and use that on your cheek. Now I will say these blushes are very pigmented, but they do sheer out. That's a great thing about them. When you first apply them, I highly recommend don't go in with a lot of this at the same time, because you're going to get too much color on your cheek. So absolutely take a very small amount. You need like a dot, and then blend them with your finger. And then of course, if you need to build them up, you can go back in, grab another dot, and then apply it to your cheek. Applying with your fingers is really the best way I've found with this blush. You can use brushes, but I feel like brushes tend to change the finish of this formula. I feel like some of the oils get absorbed in the brush, and you don't necessarily get the same look as you do with a finger. So I highly recommend a finger application with these blushes. Now, the interesting about these blushes is that they aren't a cream blush. They don't give you that creamy look to the cheek. And those of you who have cream blushes will probably know what I'm talking about. You know, many of us love cream blushes, and the reason behind that is because cream blushes tend to give this beautifully diffused and creamy look to the cheek, right? Like, that's why we love them. You don't get that with these blushes. They're not really creamy. They don't have this film that they form on the cheek that gives you this very beautiful creamy look to the skin. They don't have that. So if you have that expectation, just know this formula is not like that. Instead, these blushes are actually very thin in terms of formula, and they tend to sink into the skin. They don't have that creamy look, but they kind of look like they're part of your skin, which I think is really nice. These also aren't really dewy. They generally have a natural skin-like finish. They don't look dewy, they don't look super matte either, but they do set down. If you were expecting a dewy blush, this is not it. Sort of a little bit of an inconsistency in terms of formula, and that's probably because of the pigment. Island Glow is a little bit more dewy than Dante's Dream. Dante's Dream actually sets down to be more of a matte finish on my skin, whereas Island Glow really gives me a little bit more of a sheen, a little bit more of the dewy look. So if you want the dewy look, I suggest going with Island Glow. Island Glow is also my favorite. I really, really love the color of Island Glow. And if I could, I probably would go back and not buy Dante's Dream. I would probably just buy this. I feel like the shade really lifts up my complexion and makes my skin tone look really, really beautiful. In terms of longevity, I only saw them fade a bit after the 7-hour mark. They do pretty much last the whole day on me, but it's really after the 7 hours that they start to fade, which I'm okay with. It is a beautiful blush, but I don't feel the need to go and purchase every other shade. I'm not completely in love with it. I do have other cream blushes that frankly I just love more than this formula. I also picked up the shade Affair in her gloss, and I really enjoy her glosses, to be honest. I've got one other gloss in the shade Blush, and what I love about these is that they have just enough pigment, that they're not too pigmented, but they're also not too sheer. And they're hydrating. So especially on days when I have really dry, really chapped lips, I need to go to work and I really don't want to wear a lipstick, I will actually have been gravitating towards wearing her glosses because I do find them hydrating. So I'm very happy to have shade Affair. It looks great on the lips. I also love pairing it on top of lipsticks, trying to give me that really nude, brown, slightly peachy look. So I really, really enjoy this and I do recommend. Now let's talk about the 3 lipsticks. So I got the shade Kitten Mischief, Painterly, and Spirited Away. So let's have a look at the swatches and then I'll discuss the formula with you after. I think her lipsticks are overall nice. They're not amazing, they're not spectacular. I think this formula is just nice. What I like about them is that, of course, the packaging is really nice. They look exactly the same as her matte lipsticks, which is a little bit confusing, to be honest, because I have quite a few of her matte lipsticks and these kind of all look the same and I really just want to wear her matte. But irrespective of that, the formula is nice and comfortable on the lips. You can kind of wear them the whole day. You do need to reapply them quite a bit during a full working day, for example, especially after eating and drinking, which I'm okay with. I mean, with standard satin formulas, that tends to happen. What I don't particularly like about these is that they're very sheer. And for someone like me who has a little bit more pigmented lips, unfortunately, sheer lipsticks just don't do the trick. They're not too sheer. I mean, you definitely have some pigment, which is great, but I personally love, for example, my Propa Beauty lipsticks. Those are very pigmented and amazing, comfortable formula, so I actually prefer those over these. I also prefer the MAC Love Me Liquid lip colors over these ones. They are super pigmented and very comfortable and hydrating on the lips. So I don't think these are the best that's out there. There's definitely other lipsticks that I prefer more. In terms of shade selection, I think the shade selection is okay. I'm not wowed by the shades that I've got. I think Painterly is probably the only shade I'm really not going to use. I don't like how Painterly looks so cool tone and brown on my lip, but I can absolutely wear Kitten Mischief and Spirited Away. Those are the two shades that I like. Again, not wowed by them. If I was you, I would spend money on her matte lipsticks. I think her matte lipsticks are phenomenal. To those of you who have been waiting for this video, thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate it. I know it's taken me a while to get to this video, and that's really only because I really wanted to properly test out these formulas. I didn't want to just do the video, show you the swatches, say the products are good, and then of course mislead you in any way. As I've been on this platform, what I've come to realize for myself is that I really don't care about being on anybody's PR list. I don't care about brand exposure. I don't care about whether a certain brand is going to notice me or not. All I really care about is giving you solid makeup reviews with integrity so that you can shop with confidence. And just because this brand has a great reputation doesn't mean I'm going to like every single thing that they release. At the end of the day, it's all about product that's right in front of me and how does this perform on its own merit and not because it's attached to a certain brand's reputation. I really hope you found this video useful. Give it that like button if you did. Thanks guys, catch you later.